Today we're going to be checking out a pedal that if you forget to turn it on, you probably won't notice. So we're going to be looking at this compressor pedal here, which compressors should not affect your tone too much, and it's more common on clean tone because with distortion you're already adding compression to your signal using overdrive, or if you're just cranking a tube amp really loud, that adds compression in and of itself. It is very common for bass players to use compression because it's more noticeable when a specific note is louder than another note when you're talking about lower frequencies. So it's good to use compression so that your sound is a little bit more level. Later I'll plug in a bass and make sure that we can hear what that sounds like as well, because I probably use this on bass just as much as guitar. And you could use the same compressor pedal for guitar and bass. You don't need a specific one that's designed for bass and guitar. Compressors used on pedal boards are used in a little bit different way than like a studio recording, like what you would use when you're mixing things, but it's still the same thing. It's lowering the loud transients be closer to the rest of your signal. So then to compensate for that, because it's going to make it quieter, you can then raise the level so that it's at the same level as it was before, but it will appear to be louder. So compression actually lowers your volume, but makes it sound louder after you compensate for it. Right now I have it set to what my favorite settings are: attack all the way up and sustain right about, was that 3 o'clock? There we go. I don't know why I was struggling with that. And then level about noon, but then I will raise it a little bit depending on what I'm using for it. So maybe if I'm not leaving it on all the time, I will kind of use it as a little bit of a boost too. But I'm going to leave it at that, and then let's just hear what my clean tone is. So right now I'm running through this pedal first, and it's being powered by a 9-volt power supply, going out to a simplifier pedal that's going direct into my interface. Now I have a couple other pedals in front of it. I have an overdrive just so we can hear how it sounds with a distorted sound, but I am mostly going to be doing clean tones because I think that's where you'll be able to hear the biggest difference. So the simplifier pedal is set clean, and then I have the send and returns of that going into a reverb pedal, Digitech Polera, I believe. And that's, everything is at noon there, so 50% wet, 50% dry, and it's set to room reverb just to give it some room sound because we're just going direct in and it's going to sound way too dry. There's no reverb on the simplifier pedal, so that's why I'm doing that. So let's hear my direct signal here. And that was the rhythm pickup on my Epiphone SG with humbucker pickups. Tone all the way up like I always have it. Let's hear what my favorite settings sound like on this compressor here. Now, it does sound louder right off the bat. I could probably get a little bit less sustain. The more sustain you add, it also will kind of create a little bit of overdrive sound, as you could hear there. By the way, I probably should say this. This is the cheapest pedal that I own. It was only $30. Honestly, I probably use it the most. It's one of those set it and leave it pedals for me. And it's the first pedal in my chain. And I just use it as a way to almost boost my signal while adding a little bit more compression. Yeah, let's hear it with the sustain down a little bit more. The simplifier doesn't handle hot signal very well, so you might be hearing a little bit of that overdrive that's not coming from this. I apologize that this is what I felt was the best rig to demonstrate this on, but just keep that in mind. Put everything at noon. Here we go. How it's a lot quieter, so we have to compensate by adding some more level here. So it's going to allow those notes to ring out longer. So let's hear without it. Now with sustain. It's lowering the initial hit of the strings. And I like the attack of the strings. So that's why my go-to setting is just to leave it all the way up. But you can hear that compared to like those are pretty extreme settings. I do remember when I was researching this pedal before I bought it, the pedal, other 3 knob compressors that this may or may not be based off of, you have to crank it a lot more than those pedals. So to get the same like ratio of your compression, you're going to want to go like, let's say one of those pedals would be here to get that sustain. You're going to want to be more like here on this pedal. Totally fine with me though. That's more than enough compression for me. So I'm gonna go ahead and let's see. So one of the other things it does is, well, we kind of already said this, but if you want to play a quiet note, this is going to make it harder for you. So I'm going to play really softly and then gradually pick harder and harder, and you're going to be able to hear that it's not letting me change volume very much. Compared to again. Bridge pickup. Alright, let's hear some distortion on this thing. In this situation, you could actually hear that it's quieter with the compressor on, so I'm going to boost that. Well, you could actually hear a lot more than I thought you could. So I am not going to do the looping thing that I was thinking of doing because I think it is a lot more clear than I thought it was going to be. This is the first time I've ever listened to a compressor going direct in, and I'm really glad that I decided to do that because I think it really shows the difference a lot more than when you're just running it in front of an amp in a room. So that was really interesting. Glad that worked out. One last thing to do though is let's hear it on bass, and then I'll give you my final thoughts. All right, we're back with the bass. I have everything set at noon. We just heard what it sounds like without it on, so let's hear what it sounds like with it on. I should say that I'm no longer going through the simplifier with the bass because it's designed for guitar. So what I'm doing is I'm going direct in to my interface here, just cable direct in here, and probably should have checked my levels a little bit, but I think we're good. Let me just check that real quick. Yeah, we look all right. So we're just going direct in, no reverb, no effects. All right, so let's add some sustain to this bass here. Now, with it off. Let's add some more attack, actually. I love that attack for sure. I always have the attack cranked, and especially for pick bassing, like the type of bass that I normally do, it sounds great. But let's see how it is with fingerstyle. I'm going to turn it down just so you can hear that it's not just volume that it's adding this nice warm bottom end that like really helps just cut through in a mix. makes me sound like a better bass player, so I can't really argue with that. Let's see. Let's crank everything. But not clip. Alright, that about sums it up. There's only 3 parameters, so not a whole lot to talk about. I do want to talk about the build quality though. Not the best, especially compared to all the other pedals I've used. Is probably the worst build quality, but for $30, what do you expect? The second cheapest pedal I have is the Mad Driver. I've already done a review on it. I'll leave a link to if you want to check that out. That one's like $30 or $45 compared to $30. And I haven't had any issues with that pedal, and I've owned them about the same amount of time. The issues I have had with this pedal is input has kind of come loose a couple times, and then the main thing is the 9-volt input on the back has sunken into the pedal a little bit, making it not as secure when plugging in a cable. If you're doing batteries, it doesn't affect it, but I always use a power supply. That's something to take note of. Not the greatest build quality, but I've seen other Joyo pedals and they seem to not be as bad. Yeah, I forgot to mention this is a Joyo pedal. It's a Joyo Dyna Compressor. So yeah, that's probably important, but you probably already knew that based on the title of the video. Keep on jamming and I'll see you in the next one.